on a group of reforms that were labeled the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. For more on all this, let's welcome Iowa Congresswoman Mariannette Miller-Meeks, along with former NYPD Lieutenant Darrin Porcher. Good to see you both. Thank you for being here. Congresswoman, before we get to that executive order, I want to show for you and get your reaction to really a political confrontation that took place during a presser on the Texas shooting. Let me roll tape and get your reaction. Roll it.
He needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
Congresswoman, what do you make of a political candidate using this horrible shooting of children as a political platform for a statement, for political shots at the governor?
You know, I think it just shows a failing candidate who's desperate to get media attention to prop up their failing campaign. There are families that are hurting. There are sisters and brothers that are hurting. There's a school system and a community that's hurting. I'm from Texas originally, lived not too far from Uvalde, Texas. I know that area. I know these people are deeply concerned. They're deeply in pain. And I think just a recognition of what these families are going through is what's most important to all of us right now, to get them the assistance and the care they need, and then to address the mental health issues that I think were reflective in some of the postings of this individual who created and perpetrated this horrific crime.
Well, Lieutenant Porcher, there was much more important stuff going on at that press conference, details about what happened. And Lieutenant, I'm just wondering, some of those details were kind of shocking to us. Most disturbing to me was the notion that the school was in a lockdown and the shooter still got in. Was that a shock to you as well?
It was a problem to me because when we think of responding officers, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to neutralize the threat. It took the responding officers 30 minutes to neutralize the shooter, and that is unacceptable. We train police officers year on end on how to interdict these threats of active shooters. We have these active shooter drills for the purpose of protecting the public, and unfortunately, it didn't happen in time, and it manifested into numerous children and teachers being killed as a result.
Well, Congresswoman, a lot of people have said that one of the things that we could do is just have one secure entrance to our schools. I know it's an extraordinary precaution to have to take, but that's apparently where we have come in our society right now. Is something like that conceivable?
Well, we certainly have had that in our local schools here, at least where I live. So I remember going through a single entrance and signing in at the school before I could go to visit with the teacher or parent-teacher conference. So, and that's years ago. So that was over a decade ago when I was doing this at our local high school. So certainly it can be done. It's not a complicated thing to know who is coming in and out of a school, especially an elementary school. You know, we want our children to be safe, and I think it's something that can easily and readily be done.
Lieutenant, I want to switch to the president's new presidential order. He's doing by executive order something that couldn't be done in Congress, and it shares some of the aspects to what Congress wanted to pass, which does put more onus on police. And many people say this is not the time for that. I mean, police have a lot of handcuffs, if you'll excuse the expression, that prevents them from catching the bad guys as they would want to. Do you think that this is the right time for an executive order like this?
I'm in complete disagreement in connection with this being the right time to introduce these reforms. We all want quintessential policing in the United States, no matter what city you're in. However, you need to pick the time. I think that President Biden is using this as a platform to, in connection with politics, because he clearly sees that the Democratic Party is going to lose in the midterms. But it goes back to how can we better our policing, and we need more resources and not less. And it's just just unfortunate that he's introducing a strategy that doesn't appear to work at this point in time.
And Congresswoman, what amazes me about this administration on so many issues is not only sometimes do they not make sense in terms of policy, but they don't make political sense either. I mean, going into an election, and you know that Republicans, I'm sure this is going to be part of your platform going into the election, is that the country is not as safe as it used to be, and that we're giving too much leeway to the criminals and not enough safety for the innocent. And this executive order kind of plays into that description.
Well, to me, it just shows how tone deaf the Biden administration is. When, American citizens are concerned about rising crime, skyrocketing crime, homicides, burglaries, carjacking. And in San Francisco, they can get away with almost any crime because the police know even if they arrest someone, their attorney is not going to prosecute that crime. So people are very concerned about their safety. They're very concerned about rising crime. And so the president comes out with an executive order. And let me just say that creates even more uncertainty because even though this applies to federal law enforcement, they want to push it down to state and local. Our governor and our legislature, and I as part of that legislature, we passed policing reform in Iowa 2 years ago. So that can be done on a state level basis. But another president can, overturn this executive order. So this should be passed through Congress. It means both parties should work together to do it. But the American public is focused on rising crime. And I'm a co-sponsor of Congressman Nell's bill to put more police out in the community.
Right.
That's what people want to know.
Well, and Lieutenant, there's also another bothersome thing, which is that the AG, the Attorney General, Garland, came out with a memo on Friday of last week saying that there is going to be more executive oversight, federal oversight of what police do in local communities, suggesting that, in fact, they could even override decisions by police if they happen to be in the same vicinity. Does it help police at all to do their job when you have this kind of extra layer of oversight from people that aren't even from your area?
I'm a firm proponent in oversight in entities of law enforcement, but at the same token, when it becomes excessive, that's when it becomes counterproductive. We've had these consent decrees that have been driven towards these police departments, and all they do is just cost us extra money, and we need more resources, not less.
I just wish we'd worry more about protecting the innocent, which is what law is supposed to be about, than protecting the criminals. I understand everybody has rights, even those who are arrested, but again, it just seems like we're focusing too much on one end of that equation. Congresswoman, Lieutenant Porcher, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. Good to see you both.